You want the best for your car? You already watch our tutorials.
So the best place for the best deal is to buy from the Mr. Auto app. Easy, fast, and with better prices than on the website.
You can find the SNR timing belt kit used in the video exclusively via the link in the description. Turn off your vehicle's ignition, set the parking brake, pull the hood release handle and open the hood. For safety reasons, we advise you to disconnect the battery. To do this, we recommend watching the video How to Replace the Clio 4 Battery. Before carrying out this fitment, we recommend watching our video 10 Things to Know When Changing a Timing Belt. In order to change the timing belt, you have to lift the front of your vehicle and remove the passenger side wheel to gain complete access. Loosen the wheel stud bolts. Raise the front of the vehicle and place it on the 2-axle stands. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial, safely jacking up your vehicle before carrying out this step. You can now remove the wheel. Don't forget to slide the wheel under the vehicle. You will also need to remove the mudguard. Remove the holding clips from the mudguard using a fork tool. You can now take off the mudguard. Unscrew the holding screws from the crankcase with the help of a Torx T30 screwdriver and a 10mm socket. Remove the crankcase. You will first need to empty the coolant fluid circuit. To do this, using a pair of pliers or the specific tool used in the video, remove the hose connected to the radiator, which is located under the fan on the driver's side. For more information on this step, you need to watch the video How to Drain and Purge the Coolant Fluid Circuit of a Clio 4 1.2 16 valve. For this, you have to remove the drive belt. To do this, we recommend watching the video How to Replace the Drive Belt Clio 4 1.2 16 valve. For this operation, you will have to remove the upper engine mount. You will need to support the engine using a jack placed under the oil pan. You're also going to have to raise and lower the engine to gain access to certain areas. We advise you to add a rubber buffer between the jack and the oil pan to avoid damaging the oil pan. Using a small socket wrench, an extender and a 16mm socket, unscrew the 3 screws on the upper engine mount and remove them. Then, unscrew the 2 engine mount screws from the chassis using the same tools. Remove the 2 fuel hoses from the engine mount. Remove the mount. Using a socket wrench and a 10mm socket, unscrew the 4 screws holding the timing cover plate. You can use a magnet to remove hard-to-reach screws. Then remove the cover. It is time to set the engine. This is an extremely important step. The engine is relatively easy to set. Turn the engine so that you can get closer to the setting point by turning the damper pulley bolt using a socket wrench and an 18mm socket. Never turn the engine in a counterclockwise direction. One of the teeth of the camshaft pulley has a small notch as a mark, which needs to be aligned with a black arrow on the fixed plastic cover. The point at which the tool marks are aligned must correspond to when the arrow on the damper pulley is pointing upwards. At this point, you can insert the timing pin through the hole underneath the starter motor, which blocks the rotation of the flywheel and thus sets your engine. You can access either from above or below your vehicle. For the next step, ask someone to engage fifth gear and press the brake pedal, which will block the rotation of the crankshaft and will allow you to unscrew the damper pulley with a socket wrench, an extender and an 18mm socket. Be careful not to use the timing pin to block the rotation of the crankshaft, as you could either lose the setting or bend the pin in the engine. Or use an impact wrench, which will not cause the crankshaft to rotate. You can check that your timing is correct when the dot on the crankshaft gear is pointing downwards. Using a socket wrench, an extender and an 8mm socket, unscrew the 3 holding screws on the plastic cover, which is in 2 parts. Then remove them. You now have access to the tensioner pulley and all elements of the timing system. Then, using a socket wrench and a 13mm socket, loosen the nut of the tensioner pulley, which will release tension from the belt. Remove the tensioner pulley. You can now remove the timing belt.
All parts used in this tutorial are supplied by our trusted partners. These partners also help us create as many video tutorials as possible. Check them out in the description below.
Using a socket wrench and an 8mm socket, unscrew the 7 holding screws on the water pump. Be careful, there will still be a bit of coolant in the engine. Get a collection can to collect the coolant when it comes out. Don't try to remove the water pump, since this will still not be possible. It is attached to 2 plastic hoses, which you need to unscrew and take out before you can remove the pump itself. To do this, insert a screwdriver into the notch located on the top of the grille, give the duct a bit of leverage, and then remove it. You can now see the bracket to unscrew and then remove. Using an 8mm flathead screwdriver, remove the 3 holding screws on the hose. Once unscrewed, take the hose in your hand and turn it a few times to take it off. Then move the hose. You can now remove the water pump by making small movements to release the plastic hose from its housing. Remove the water pump seal. Using a socket wrench and a 10mm socket, unscrew the 2 screws of the elbow part of the hose that is connected to the water pump. Then remove it. You can find the SNR timing belt kit used in the video via the link in the description. Start by taking the 2 hose seals. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the old rectangular rubber seal and replace it with a new one. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the old O-ring from the second part of the hose. Take the new seal and coat it with coolant to make it easier to fit around the elbow hose. Place it on the hose. Take the new water pump seal on the water pump provided in the SNR kit. Everyone's natural reflex is to take the water pump in hand and turn the pump to check that it is working properly. But this is a serious mistake that can irreversibly damage the water pump. You need to submerge the pump in coolant and turn it a dozen times. This prevents leaks later on, as the pump should never run dry. Fit the elbow hose and screw it onto the new water pump. Before fitting the new elements, clean the surface of the seal with a cloth to ensure that the assembly is watertight. Have the new seal ready. Install it on the seal surface. The centering node allows you to keep it in position. Take the new water pump and put it in place. The most delicate part is threading the elbow hose into its place while positioning the water pump correctly on its two guides at the bottom. Then, while keeping the water pump in contact with the seal surface, it is necessary to grab the second hose with the other hand and insert it into the elbow hose, rotating it to facilitate insertion. Once the two hoses are connected, put the holding screw back on the hose. Using a socket wrench and an 8mm socket, start by screwing in the water pump until it's held in place. It is essential that you respect the order of screwing shown in the video to avoid leaks during use. Finish tightening using a Torx wrench, respecting the order of tightening. After screwing the water pump back on and checking that the hose is properly fitted, refit the air intake pipe. Take the new tensioner pulley provided in the kit. Put the tensioner pulley in place, taking care that the indexing fork is correctly positioned on the engine block. Then rescrew it roughly by hand. Then take the new belt, making sure you know which way round it goes. The writing on the belt has to point in a clockwise direction. You now have to put the new belt in place. To help you put the timing belt back in correctly, you will see indicators on the camshaft pulley and the crankshaft gear. Start to position the timing belt on the camshaft and high-pressure pulley, lining up the markers on the timing belt with those on the pulleys. Then pass the belt over the tensioner pulley. Then, keeping everything in place, position the belt on the crankshaft gear. Again, the mark on the belt must coincide with the mark on the crankshaft gear. Finalize the installation of the belt by passing it over the water pump pulley. Once in place, install the belt correctly around all components. Before proceeding with the next steps, check that the markings on the camshaft pulley and the crankshaft gear coincide with those on the timing belt. Then remove the locking pin from the tensioner pulley so that the belt can be tensed. Be careful, the tensioning of the roller on this motor should never be done by turning clockwise at the risk of breaking the belt. Using a 6mm Allen key, put the tension on the timing belt by turning it counterclockwise until the index of the movable part of the pulley slightly enters the adjustment window. While maintaining the tension of the pulley with the Allen key, lock the nut on the tensioner pulley with a 13mm wrench.
Hi, it's Theo from UseTool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.
Finish tightening using a Torx wrench. Before checking the assembly, put the damper pulley back in place. You had previously disassembled it to stop the belt from moving around on the pulleys during the testing. Screw it back on until it makes contact. Then take out the timing pin. You now have to test the assembly of the timing belt. Using a socket wrench and still working in a clockwise direction, make 2 full turns on the timing belt, which is the same as 1 engine cycle. This enables you to check the correct synchronization of the engine and that the setting has been done properly. The compression of the engine might make rotation difficult. Nevertheless, check that there are no significant blockages. With each turn of the belt, the markers on the belt and those on the pulleys will shift. Do not worry about this. You should only need about 10 rotations to realign the markers. Once the 2 turns of the timing belt have been made, you now have to reset the engine. Repeat the previous setting instructions, then reinsert the timing pin. Once the engine has been properly set, it is necessary to readjust the tension of the tensioner pulley. While maintaining the tension with a 6mm Allen key, slightly unscrew the retaining nut on the tensioner pulley. Then go ahead and position the index of the movable part of the pulley in the middle of the adjustment window. Once in place, keep the tension using an Allen key and tighten the pulley with the help of a 13mm wrench. Finish tightening using a Torx wrench. You can now take out the damper pulley and take out the timing pin. Put the lower part of the protective plastic cover back in place. Then screw it back on. Then put the upper part back in place. Screw both screws back in. Replace the timing cover back plate in place and tighten the 4 screws. Put the upper engine mount back in place and start screwing the 2 screws on the chassis back in. Finish tightening using a Torx wrench. Then screw in the 3 engine support screws. Finish tightening using a Torx wrench. Clip the 2 fuel hoses back on. Remove the jack. We also recommend installing a new damper pulley. It is essential to use a new screw, as these are one-time use screws. For tightening, it is necessary to block the rotation of the crankshaft. To do this, put the car in 5th gear and ask someone to press the brake pedal. Put the damper pulley in place, paying attention to the centering notch, and screw it back on by hand at first. Put the screw back in place. To tighten it, use the same technique of blocking the crankshaft. Finish tightening using a Torx wrench. Then add the recommended alignment using the paint marker technique to get a mark and visualize the correct alignment. You can now put the drive belt in place. To do this, we recommend watching our video, How to Replace the Drive Belt on a Clio 4 1.2 16 valve. Put the mudguard back on. Put the crankcase back in. Now you will be able to put the wheel back on your vehicle and put it back on the ground. Reconnect the battery. Before using your vehicle, you have to put the coolant fluid back in and purge the air from the circuit. For this, watch the video, How to Empty and Purge the Coolant Fluid Circuit on a Clio 4 1.2 16 valve. Operation completed.
Hi, it's Theo from UseTool. I hope this video has helped you a lot in your car maintenance. We would be super grateful if you could spread the word so that we can produce even more tutorials. Simply give us a like, a comment, and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us boost the channel and help the whole community. Thanks a lot and have a great one.